back to 365 Unlimited. We are back with another episode, another exciting weekend of NFL playoff football. The coaching carousel is heated up. Carter's Bears landed Ben Johnson. The NFL is in full swing right now. Part off season, part in season. Like, there's so much going on right now. But I want to kick it off with, we were just talking about this before we got going. I'm assuming Gannon just saw it on social media. But
dude, I missed this today.
So Liam Cohen, there's actually so much craziness going on right now with the coaching carousel. So Liam Cohen declined the Jacksonville job when he was going in for his second interview due to the GM in Jacksonville, which a lot of coaches are scared to go there because of the GM. Backed out, was offered a max extension to be the highest paid coordinator in the NFL with Tampa. He was going to remain in Tampa. Jaguars fired the GM yesterday evening around 3:30-ish, and all of a sudden, Liam Cohen is back in Jacksonville, and he's interviewing again, and it looks like he's going to land the job with the Jaguars ultimately. And on top of that,
ghosted the Bucs,
didn't say anything to the coaching staff, suddenly ended up in an in-person interview in Jacksonville. I guess had talked to Todd Bowles briefly on the phone and said that his kid was sick, and then briefly mentioned the idea of entertaining Jacksonville again. Anyways, he's back in Jacksonville, interviewing, going to land that job. And on top of that, Robert Saleh was scheduled to fly in Friday, leading candidate in Jacksonville after the Cohen news. And sounds like Saleh is going back to San Francisco to take the defensive coordinator job back where he originally started in the Bay Area under Shanahan. Kind of surprises me. I figured Dallas, having interviewed him, would maybe cycle back around and try to interview him again. But we know it's all a disaster in Jerry world. But I wanted to start off with that. What do you guys think?
You don't want Brian Schottenheimer?
Yeah, we
can. What's the whole – I don't understand why you wouldn't go with Tampa. You're the highest paid coordinator.
I mean, there's 32 jobs. I mean, there's 32 people that get to be NFL head coach, in my opinion.
Well, if you look at it, do you want to work with
Jacksonville? Bro, you could end up taking over for Todd Bowles.
That's what I think was going to happen. And I mean, realistically, I think Bowles is pretty. I would say is on the hot seat.
Like, some of his
but look
some
at the
of his
team
decision
they
making
have
is horrendous
compared to. I mean, Jacksonville doesn't really have anything. I mean, T-Law was out for the most of the year, but if you got a chance, you're the head coach is on the hot seat. You got a hell of a team.
But would you rather work with
higher
Trevor
than any offensive coordinator? Why go to up the road to Jacksonville?
Yeah, but like you think Trevor Lawrence could be better if he gets with him than Baker? Yes, he's way more talented than Baker Mayfield.
Than Baker?
Yeah. Well, and the age on top of it, too. Like, Baker's a little bit older. Baker's experienced. And
it's not as bad of a job as, like, trying to go take the Rams or even the Jets.
The Jacksonville job is a solid job now that the GM's out.
Yes.
The GM,
but it's
GM
just bad. It's unprofessional if he didn't go about it the right way and communicate with the Tampa Bay people.
It's interesting, but
that's sketchy.
But that's
like, how are you going to argue if you're Tampa Bay that you're going to say, no, I'm going back to take a job? Like, you're not. It's a head coach.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to start off with that.
In my opinion.
Probably, yeah. And I think that's where it's headed, but there's so many crazy things that have, for weeks, dude, the last 2 weeks, it was a lock that Ben Johnson was going to the Raiders, like, because of the Tom Brady ties and the conversations, but Ben says
QB, it's just
I never even heard Metten. If you don't go into the Carlson will go down the dirtiest rabbit hole.
This was every major insider was saying Raiders looks legit.
The reason they said that is because Tom Brady made one comment.
Tom Brady he didn't make a comment. He had conversations with Johnson.
I know he had a comment when he was commentating the game last week, and they said something.
This was before that. They were talking before the game.
Right, but he made that comment last week on a game when he was – I forget which game it was. I think it was one of the – but anyway, he talked about – the guy said something about, you're new part – owner of the Raiders, whatever. He made a comment about Ben Johnson. I kind of never thought we wouldn't go with Ben Johnson. I mean, in the couple podcasts
ago, it was gonna be his decision. I mean, he could have picked the Raiders over you guys. I think you both were gonna offer him. Like, it was between the two.
Right, but there's more upside with the Bears.
Yes, it's just the difference in can Las Vegas land a quarterback in figure that out. I mean, yes, 100%. There's more attraction to coach Caleb Williams than there is to coach
and just Chicago
nobody.
in general. I think with the market,
it's also a harder job in that, and it's also just a Chicago scene.
Chicago.
Yeah, dude, it's politics and sports. That's what runs the city.
And they don't take. They're ruthless fans.
Oh, Chicago sports, yeah. When you look at the legendary stuff that's been up before.
So,
I just
think it's crazy that the Jets went first time head coach, defensive coordinator again. I know Aaron Glenn's a respected dude and has set a good standard with it, but it'll be interesting to see how that works out because that's not a fun 53-man to take over there.
No, it's gonna be.
They got a lot of shit going on there,
dude.
Bro.
They got so many moving parts.
It's gonna be an uphill battle in New York, I think. But
like compared to that, then even Jacksonville, like it's night and day.
Rodgers is gonna take Glenn on one of his retreats this summer.
Rodgers might not even be back.
No, he's
done. If you look at the numbers, like
if you're Glenn though, why would you even want Rodgers back? It's a year-long thing, unless you mentor a quarterback for a year, you're able to snag one in the draft.
If you get somebody in the draft,
but they would need to draft somebody.
These quarterbacks suck. Like,
do they fall off quick?
I mean, I don't know what you're gonna get. That's the problem. They kind of pigeonholed themselves when they made the trade for Rodgers in the first place. Like, it's just that was all riding. They were riding high on on those defenses, saying, you know what, Rodgers, if you can somewhat perform, we got the defenses that can take us to the Super Bowl. But obviously, we see.
If you look at their team, though, it's insane, like how bad they were record-wise.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Their lineup,
top 5 defense every year too.
I know, but you look at just their lineup. Don't look at how they play. They have one of the best lineups in football. If you look at their lineups, I know they got Devontae late. You got Devontae, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, which didn't have a very great year, but on paper, they're really good on both sides.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, after a little brief discussion on the coaching carousel, we got 2 very important matchups. The conference championships, NFC AFC Championship games this weekend on Sunday. Guys, we have 3 football games left. 3 football games. I mean, the national championship wrapped up. We have 3 for sure football games left, and then it's off season time, and then it's free agency and transfer portal and draft and all of that stuff that we don't enjoy. We'd much rather just watch the game. But here we are with 3 games left, and Sunday we open up at 2 p.m. on Fox Sports at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia with the division rivals, Philadelphia Eagles, having the Washington Commanders pay them a visit in Philadelphia. What do you guys think on this game? I think it's interesting for me because I see these teams play in the division. I see them twice a year. I kind of feel like I have a good gauge on what both of these teams are and the potential of what this matchup could look like. But just what's your guys' initial thoughts on this one?
I think, well, first off, I think Philly's going to the Super Bowl, but I think a key for
Called
Philly,
it right away.
I was going to see if the Commanders were going to stay hot with you.
Yeah. I picked the Commanders last week.
Carter was 4-0 on the board last week, so we'll see if he can nail the rest of this through.
I'd like to see the Commanders. I sort of selfishly think that out of Buffalo or Kansas City, Philly's the only team that could beat them. I don't think Washington's going to go into a Super Bowl and beat Kansas City, if that ends up being the case. But I just think that the Eagles with Saquon, it's a cheat code, especially when you have the offensive line like Philly does. Now, Philly, I think the Rams beat themselves against Philly.
They had a lot of chances.
A lot of chances. But they did okay, but then you look at Saquon had 2 touchdowns, like over 200 yards. I mean, like, I think it's just there's not much that they can do. I think if the problem for Philly is if they go down, like if Washington gets up 10 or, even 14, let's say, I don't think I don't know if you're going to trust Jalen Hurts because right now what they're doing is they're running the ball, they're throwing, Hurts had a real good run against who did they play? I'm blanking. Yes, last week. The Rams.
Yep.
So I just think if Philly gets behind, it's going to be too hard for them to catch up the way that they've been playing, like running the football. But Washington looks tough.
Dude,
they look so good. And that was the thing, is Detroit didn't beat themselves, you could argue. But Washington's just like, did not take their foot off the gas. I mean, put up, 40-some points on Detroit? I mean,
yeah. It's wild.
It's crazy. So I got Philly, but I think there is a chance that Washington can win, but rookie quarterbacks in the championship, I think, are 0-5.
Yeah.
They've got there. So it's a tough ask for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, 100%.
It's interesting because last week I sat here and said I think it's when the Jalen Daniels rookie season campaign or whatever comes to an end in the division round, but there's just something about him and Cliff Kingsbury and what DQ Dan Quinn has established there and that culture that, like, they're a very tough team to be with the triple option that they're running with Jaden Daniels passing it, running it, or handing it off to one of their backs. I mean, and they got weapons. They got dudes that are making plays. It's like, I think is the key interesting part that you talked about was the Rams last week beat themselves, had a lot of chances to win that game, even giving up 200 yards on the ground, which obviously the snow played a little bit of factor with that and the conditions and so on and so forth that way. But again, there hasn't been a Philly team dominant win. Like, Saquon's been dominant with the offensive line, but Jalen Hurts had the big touchdown run. But again, he had less than 170, 180 passing yards this last week. Again, like you said, what if they do get down? What if the Commanders just start rolling and they start getting points on the board early? Because there's no signs of slowing them down. I know the defense in Philly is really good, but at the end of the day, Jaden Daniels he doesn't turn the ball over. They capitalize off turnovers. They got a young group that's playing with fool's gold right now. Like, it's not crazy to think a 6 seed here going to a Super Bowl. I mean, it's now, will they have some success against an AFC team potentially? Probably. If not, we'll see kind of how that goes going forward. But I think I'm going to ride with the Commanders in this one. I just think with Jaden Daniels, a little bit of an upset here. Like, I'd like to see it also as a football fan. And I think it's not a long shot that Jaden Daniels and the Commanders can go to the Super Bowl the way he is playing at a Pro Bowl caliber, all-pro level right now. It's unreal what we're seeing. Might be the best rookie season ever. And if he wins this weekend, it's 100% that.
Well, yeah, like Carter mentioned, I mean, rookie quarterbacks being 0-5 in conference championship games and not being able to get past that hump to get into the Super Bowl, I mean, it's something that we haven't seen. And
they're not going to be fazed by this, like Bryce said, playing a division opponent. They're not.
I mean, if you think they're going to walk into Philadelphia and be fazed, you're probably crazy considering what they just did, walked into Detroit. And made Detroit look silly, too.
The best
Granted,
team
the turnovers didn't help Detroit, but in reality, I mean, they're not afraid to step into your home territory, and it's not like Washington's unfamiliar.
And the Bucs game was close. Like, they've played a lot of close football.
They played way better against Detroit. If they would have played the way they played against Tampa Bay, they would have got destroyed.
They got super hot at the end because otherwise, with them and the Packers going opposite directions, they fell into the 6 when they were the 7 a month out.
See, that's almost my thing with Washington is like you see a variety, you see two teams, and I think that's expected when you have a rookie quarterback. There's going to be shaky moments. There's going to be
everything's first year. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not even just the quarterback. It's the ownership group, the coaching staff. Like, all of this is first year. What they're doing is historic, and I understand that. But I want to read a stat. So the 2024, the Eagles have won 14 of their last 15 games since their Week 5 bye, which includes the playoffs. Their last loss was the Commanders in Week 16. Okay, so on top of that, the Eagles will be the 6th team over the last 40 years to play in an NFC Championship game against the last team to beat them in the regular season. 4 of the previous 5 such teams lost in the NFC title game. So, just an interesting stat to throw out there to you guys. I am also going to ride with the Washington Commanders in this game.
Look at you guys jumping ship.
And
I'm the guy jumping ship, I guess.
Really? Yeah. What?
So I think
how are you gonna? No. How are you gonna take Detroit and then go back and take Washington in the NFC Championship?
Because here's the thing: what we see in playoffs is a week-to-week basis. I think it's hard to rock with the same team continually, and obviously I took Detroit over Washington. I don't think anyone expected that.
No.
For the most part,
it's not dumb. I mean, that was kind of for me just like trap game.
Yeah,
but,
100%. And so is this, though. So is this. It's divisional opponents.
It's a typical Jared Goff performance also.
Yes, but you can have those performances from Jalen Hurts, too. And
and that's what Carter said. The chance the Commanders get up early here is real. It's a real possibility.
That's what they need to do. Is they need to stop, or not stop the run, because you're not going to be able to, but limit as much as you can.
Yes.
They can take a long drive. They can ground and pound. They can ground and pound.
So here's my thing with Washington. I think one thing I want to mention right away on the offensive side of the ball, obvious key to victory, I think, in my opinion, is to be able to run the ball effectively. And they have Anthony Lynn on that offensive staff. They have Cliff Kingsbury. They have Dan Quinn as their head coach. That trio right there has transcended the Washington Commanders run game.
Like, it's wild, the knowledge they got there.
So, yeah, two former head coaches, and obviously Quinn before in Atlanta. So, yes, they have dynamic, diverse, I guess is a better word to use.
Leadership.
Yes, they have a diverse background in the places they've been, the coaches they've coached with, but they've transcended that run game. Now, I think if Daniels is struggling a little bit, the way to kind of get him in the rhythm of this massive game for them to get to the Super Bowl is to be able to run the ball effectively. And if they can do that, and you can keep the possessions away from Philly, kind of limit those possessions a little bit, I think that's a major key to victory for Washington, is to not force Jaden Daniels to be something he's not. I think if you can run the ball effectively and Jaden Daniels can pop in here and take what they're giving him defensively, then I think they're set up for success.
But I think you got to let the way Jaden Daniels plays is you just let him go. Like, I feel like
part of that running game is him too.
Right. And I think running the ball, though, the thing with running the ball against Philly's front is probably better than their secondary.
That's what I'm going to. Yes, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Is a key to victory for Philadelphia's defense is to pressure the rookie quarterback. Mm-hmm. It's in that D line, the backers, Zach Vaughn having an All-Pro season. Like, that's going to be one of their. They're going to put pressure on. Yeah. Vic Fangio is going to dial up pressure, and he's going to bring it at the rookie and try to force him to make mistakes. So that's why, in my opinion, I think it's very important for them to establish a run game to limit that.
And to build off that, like Vic Fangio said this week, was just, Jaden Daniels is young off his birth certificate, but not when you look at the tape. Like, the film jumps off, like, because he is an electric speed guy. Like, he's a Lamar type runner when we're talking about stuff right here with the bigger frame and somebody with a stronger arm. I'm not going to say a better arm, but a way stronger arm, in my opinion, than Lamar. And when Jaden Daniels rips that thing up and lets it go, like, it's something to see. Like, in his escapability, the run game, getting the ball out quick, like, it's going to be a clash of two heavyweights come Sunday, like, big time.
But I also, in my opinion, like I said, with Philadelphia, for them, what's important is obviously their run game. Like Carter's mentioned it. We talk about Saquon Barkley. We talk about Jalen Hurts on his feet. Like, that is where Philadelphia is going to beat you. It's where they've beat teams all season. They have an all-world, all-pro, Pro Bowl, whatever you want to call it, offensive line. Their offensive line is stacked. They made the right moves in the offseason, bringing in Mekhi Becton. He ended up working out. Obviously, with Kelsey retiring, they got Juergens in there at center. So there has been some rotation, but there's a lot of continuity with that offensive line, and it's filthy. It's filthy, and they've allowed the best back in the league right now, Saquon Barkley, to not only have an historic season, but a pretty damn good playoff stretch so far as well. And if Washington can't stop that run game, they're screwed. Because if Philly can run the ball effectively with the quarterback and the running back, they're just not going to have that many possessions to be able to keep up, in my opinion. But what I think the same thing goes for Washington.
They can run it. They can control the clock 100%.
Yes, but I also think what goes for Washington is if Washington wants to win this game, offensively, key run game, defensively, force Hurts to be Hurts. If you can genuinely get after Hurts a little bit, and Dan Quinn, I think he's the guy. I mean, he's seen a whole lot of Jalen Hurts the last couple of years, being in Dallas and now in Washington. He knows what to expect with Hurts. And obviously, in past seasons with the Cowboys, a lot of interceptions against a guy like Hurts. So I think he has a general idea of what to expect with Hurts. And if you can force Hurts to be Hurts in a negative way, then it could be very good for the Washington defense. And like I said, The run game is key for Philly, but if you force Hurts to be Hurts, turnovers could happen, and that's where Washington could win.
Go Philly, baby. But I'd like to see Washington. But I just think Philly's. I don't know.
Both are in my division, obviously, and realistically, I would hate to see Philly. I don't want to see Philly there. What I
give me the better quarterback right now. I mean, that's just where I'm at. I mean, I know Saquon.
We even talked about it last week.
They still haven't had a down performance. The Rams could easily walked in and won that game.
You got to think Tampa Bay. Comeback. This could be Tampa Bay.
But Tampa's not going in and putting 40-some up on the Lions.
No one expected Detroit to go out this early.
But, Tampa Bay.
But again, quarterback.
They barely beat Tampa, bro.
Oh, 100%.
Who would you guys have taken if it was Detroit-Philly? I think that's a more interesting matchup, obviously, being out of the division. Because
Detroit's secondary and their backing core was just, oh my gosh, they're beat up. And they got exposed in that game.
It would have been a more favorable matchup for Philly than Washington is right now, which just sounds crazy to say.
Yeah, and I think just going off the sheer Daniels and Goff debate, I mean, you can see what Jared Goff can do. I don't think Commanders, they're not going to turn the ball over 5 times.
If they pressure the rookie quarterback, you don't know.
No, but Goff is one guy. He's a pocket guy. And if he can't do that and hit somebody, he's screwed. You can have great backs and great weapons if you don't have a quarterback getting the ball.
But, they also had 20 guys on IR
out on defense. Crazy. Yeah, their defense was depleted. I mean, they're having guys play their first snaps of the season.
They were depleted. They were sure depleted.
They still got a hell of a team.
But still, you turn the ball over 3 times. Jameson Williams doesn't do some of that stuff. I mean,
Yeah. It kind of sucks. I think it would be a better matchup to watch.
Let's go to the AFC.
All right.
Let's go, baby.
Gannon and I rolling with the Commanders. Carter going with the Eagles. Moving on to the AFC Championship. We talked about the Bills and Ravens last week being potentially the game of the year, which I think, honestly, Detroit-Washington might be game of the year. So we were in the ballpark, but I think this game here has potential to be game of the year as well. Obviously, when you look at it, it's 2 of the best teams in the National Football League. And it just sucks, man. It just sucks that Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, they all got to run into each other right before they get to the Super Bowl. Give me a Buffalo, Kansas City Super Bowl. Let me watch these games in the biggest stage because a lot of times the NFC sucks. And it's frustrating because the other teams the way they match up in the Super Bowl, it just feels like it never is what these AFC games mean. These AFC games, when you watch them, Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore are always in the thick of things. And they're tough matchups. But anyway, this game, obviously, Buffalo traveling to Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Buffalo Bills, and that game is at 5:30. I didn't even realize that. Sweet. So we got another early game on Sunday that'll get over at a solid time before the work week starts. Initial thoughts. What are we thinking?
Go ahead, Carter.
So I'm riding hard with Buffalo this time.
God, we want to do that every time. I just don't know.
Because the last 2 years, I think it was last year when you guys were more on Baltimore and I kept just riding Kansas City because I'm like, you can't. This time
and I said the same thing last year. We said,
Lamar. I'm going to go reverse psychology with my pick here.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of it's Lamar. But I think
no.
We can talk about that. But first look,
Josh Allen homer.
You're the biggest Josh Allen hater that there is.
I'm not. But keep
Carlson
going.
was like, "Oh, he's supposed to do that. He's 240 or whatever." You're like, "Oh, that was an easy run from the 12-yard line."
This dude's it was from the 3-yard line, and this dude, oh, cool, that's who he is.
And Lamar threw one pick, fumbled the ball,
and put his team in a position to win that game.
He did,
tie the game.
But so did Josh Allen.
I'm not saying he didn't. I give him all the respect in the world.
The whole time.
That's because you send a text from the 3-yard line. Josh Allen runs the ball in and act like he's Superman. Congratulations. Cam Newton's been there, done that.
Yeah, Cam Newton.
He's done the same thing.
Not to the level of Josh Allen. Okay.
Keep going. That's because Josh Allen can throw the football well.
Yeah, Cam could throw a 20-yard pass. All right. So I think it hurts me to do this because I hate Kansas City really now, but they've never disappointed. So I'm going with Buffalo. I think that this is the year, I just feel it, that Josh Allen gets it done. They're the hottest team other than Washington right now. Other than who's a hotter team that's left right now? I mean, it's Washington and Buffalo.
I would have said
Chiefs.
I
don't think they're hot though. They're just
Philly's hot.
They've been hot for 3 years.
Yeah, they've been hot for a long time, but like you look at the Texans. The Texans were in that game.
Oh yeah,
like they really were, and I think Buffalo brings so much more to the table than Houston does. I mean, the way that Josh Allen's been running the ball, the way that James Cook has ran the ball, and they've just stepped up. The receivers have stepped up. Their defense has stepped up. I think this is a better Buffalo team. It's kind of crazy to say that since they've had good teams. But I think this is the year that they can get past the Chiefs. And I don't know if I'm not going to throw out any like data or stats. I just have that feeling.
This is also a better Kansas City team this year than it was last year.
Defense, he's bad.
Yeah, the defense, but this is a better Buffalo team.
Yeah, I'm going to go with mine because with my pick here is the reverse psychology because I always pick against Josh Allen and the Bills, and when I do, the Bills win. So, like, deep down, I would like to see the three-peat not exist, but what I would also like to see it because I want to see Tom Brady get off of his peak or pinnacle, whatever you want to call it, from being the greatest ever. Because if Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs finish this thing out, it's pretty hard to say. Nobody's ever done this before with 3 in a row. Andy Reid and company, these guys look for a way, in my opinion, to kind of have the underdog mentality, even at their home place. Buffalo's riding a high coattail right now. Like, there's a lot of things that are feeling like it's Buffalo right now. But at the same time, that's when my sixth sense is kind of kicking in, and I'm thinking Kansas City with this. I just think Pat Mahomes makes too many plays time in, time out. Travis Kelce showed us another kind of leg in his career a little bit in this postseason, taking over some records. He did a little bit better than what he showed in the regular season. Kansas City Chiefs, man, it's just hard to pick against them in this scenario. I'm kind of going reverse psychology because I deep down want to have the Bills win. So that's kind of, I think, my thought process on this. But the Chiefs are just going to come out. Pat Mahomes, it's going to be a done deal, in my opinion. It's the Red Kingdom. Chiefs are trying to go for history right now. I don't think their magic's out by any means.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the magic they've had all year. Like, it is.
Dude, yeah, it's the refs of.
There is some bias. Last week was bad with some of the.
It was bad. I mean, I'm not saying it was terrible, and then
he's trying to flop and take something else out and take. I mean, he's gonna get.
And it was rigged because they freaking took a safety to cover the points. Like there's just weird stuff with Kansas City. Even the last 2 years you've seen it, but like this year it's been like not like every single game. There is something that happens and favors Kansas City, whether it's the refs, whether a field goal's blocked, something always happens. Now, obviously, it's Kansas City. I'm not saying that I'm not taking anything away from them, but I think this is just the year for Josh Allen.
And to lead me into my point, I'm not scared. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills.
Let's go. I'm a Josh Allen fan this week. Let's go.
I'm rolling with the Bills and I'm rolling with the Commanders. I have a very good chance to go 0-2 this week, and it is what it is. But in reality, let's talk about it. The Bills have beat the Chiefs in each of their last 4 regular season matchups. Each of their last 4 matchups have beat the Chiefs in the regular season. But they've lost 3 straight playoff games to the Chiefs. 2020, 2021, obviously the gap, 2023. However, no starting quarterback has ever defeated another starting quarterback 4 times in the playoffs. So, in other words, we're talking about
Josh Allen's time.
We're talking about
Pat Mahomes going to break another record.
Wouldn't shock us. Wouldn't shock us. But there's a 3-peat on the line here with Kansas City because I think if they walk to the Super Bowl and beat Buffalo, they're probably going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think the NFC teams this year are going to put up a fight. I really don't. I think Philly has the best chance.
We're going to rematch Kansas City Buffalo or Kansas City Philly.
Something tells me Buffalo. I think Buffalo Detroit would have been exciting, but Buffalo Washington, rookie quarterback Josh Allen, first time beating Mahomes in the playoffs. That would be
whoever wins in the AFC is going to win.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly, but I think a Buffalo Washington matchup would be nice. I think a Kansas City Washington matchup would be disgusting. Like turn the TV on for 45 minutes and be like, what the hell am I watching? That's what in my opinion. So I think
when we look at this. Say this, Carlson, if Buffalo wins, do you think it's more pressure to win that game or to beat Kansas City this week?
Oh, more pressure to win the Super Bowl at that point. They can't.
100%.
At that point, if it's Washington, yes, you have to win. Are you just talking about in general?
You have to win in general. You can't be going against Mahomes all these years
because you might not have the chance to
and then lose again. You can't.
I agree.
They have to win the Super Bowl
if they beat Mahomes. Yes, because I think there's
nothing on the Chiefs. That's another reason why I like them this weekend. They got nothing to play for.
Yeah, I mean
they
got
a record.
They do, but
they're just playing for history. But in reality, I get what you're saying. Realistically, they have nothing to play for. They prove themselves. We know what the Chiefs are.
This is normal. Yes.
And we know they're coming right back next year. They're not going anywhere. They are a threat to Baltimore. They are a threat to Buffalo, and they will continue to be as long as Patrick Mahomes is there. Andy Reid is there.
And
these things aren't changing.
Hill could still be there.
Shoot, he might. He might end up back there after this offseason.
It's insane what they've been able to do without him, though. It's crazy.
Did you wear the same hat last week?
Yep.
Okay, so we're looking good then. And the Buffalo pick.
I wore it for lucky. It's my lucky.
Although
hat.
you switched up and went Philadelphia, so I don't know how I'm feeling about the hat anymore. I hope.
But I was 4-0, so just follow me.
I don't want to see Philadelphia in the championship.
0-1 in the national title.
0-1 in the national.
Yeah. Hey, you didn't get the chance to actually pick it on the podcast.
Yeah, but we all knew the pick.
We know the pick, and the pick is going to be the pick regardless. But
yeah.
Anyway, so we're talking about Mahomes is looking to join Tom Brady and John Elway as the only QBs in NFL history to reach the Super Bowl 5 times, and Allen's obviously looking to get his first Super Bowl appearance. And I think at this point in their career, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson are two guys at the AFC. They both deserve a shot at the game. They both deserve a shot at playing in the Super Bowl at the highest stage. And I do think before it's all said and done, Allen and Lamar will both have that opportunity. I think for Lamar, I think it's coming. I think Baltimore's right there. They're right there to beat these teams. And for Josh Allen,
stuff last week, they were right there to win that.
Yeah.
This is just a huge thing for Josh Allen and for Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They went 4 times in a row and lost every single time.
Martin Levy couldn't get the job done with the boys back in the day.
Imagine that. 4 in a row. You go 4 Super Bowls and you don't win one. So this would be huge for just Buffalo in general. So
I mean, dude, I think the interesting part is, so I don't want to dive too much into this conversation, but kind of just mention it. If the Bills lose this game to the Chiefs, do we think that Sean McDermott, their head coach, remains with the squad?
No, because they're going for a 3-peat, the Kansas City Chiefs, if that happens.
So you think McDermott's back no matter what?
Yeah, that culture there's established, man. You're not going to switch that up. He'll be right back here next year.
Yeah, it is established, but at some point in time, you got to ask yourself: is he the guy that can get us over the hump? That can out scheme Andy Reid?
Well, McCarthy's still out there.
That's the problem. Is there's nobody out there at this point that's going to be an upgrade, probably over McDermott.
Like McCarthy.
But I'm just curious. They keep reaching these games, and it's the same conversation. I mean, Ravens fans are having the same conversation about Harbaugh. Is he the guy?
That's starting to get loud.
And yes, he'll be back for sure. And I do think McDermott will be back. But those conversations you can start to have those conversations because are these guys the leaders?
Harbaugh, though.
I don't necessarily know.
You can't blame a coach for Lamar dropping the ball, Mark Andrews throwing the ball, not catching it. You can blame him for maybe going for 2.
Yeah.
Instead of kicking the damn ball.
Not getting Henry involved at all.
I mean, there's certain stuff, but like if people take care of the ball and play their positions out to their full ability, that game, it's at least overtime. You're talking minimum overtime. I was so heartbroken watching that last week.
And Zay Flowers was out too, so that didn't help.
Flowers out was big. I think that takes away a lot of stuff in the middle of the field for Lamar. A lot of the screen game, a lot of the basic stuff. I felt bad for Lamar
too. Because it's just like the same thing. Him and Josh Allen.
He did the whole drive at the end. I mean, that was a hell of a drive he orchestrated down the field.
The throw at the end, too. Like
everything. I felt for Mark Andrews. That felt like took me back to being a former athlete, and that was a dark place.
One thing I do know, you have 100% fair point, and I want to mention something on top of that with the Andrews drop is I want to just discuss Lamar's transcendence in leadership qualities.
Oh, unreal.
Like he is not only the face of that franchise in Baltimore. So he went from a guy in the draft sitting in the back of the green room, pissed off, not understanding what's going on. Back into the round, people think maybe Bill Belichick will take him. He'll go to New England and be the successor for Tom Brady, and then ultimately lands in a perfect spot in Baltimore. And initially, you hear the noise. Like, is he a quarterback? Can he throw the football well? He's not a pocket guy. He likes to bail out of the pocket. It seems like every year the qualities with Lamar improve. Obviously coming off an MVP season last season where he probably didn't have the greatest numbers, but he's an exhilarating, thrilling type of player to watch. And then this year blows those numbers out of the water. But the mental aspect of his game, like if you look it up on Twitter or the internet in general, and you can see his conversations he had with Mark Andrews on the sideline, he pretty much said, Mark, this is not on you. He said that we're a team. We are a team. This doesn't go through one person. But the best part about it is all those guys would run through a brick wall for a guy like Lamar. Like, his ability to be a fantastic teammate has been awesome to watch. But you guys have anything else you want to add about these two matchups, or are we wrapping up?
Good.
I mean, we got great games on Sunday.
Here's to the Super Bowl. Let's go. We're riding them. They're going to knock the Chiefs off for the 3-peat.
Feels like deja vu with the Chiefs.
Jane Daniels, rookie Super Bowl MVP.
I'd be terrified.
Would be insane. I don't even know who the last rookie quarterback was to get to this point. I don't think
nobody's gotten to the Super Bowl, has he?
No.
Was Tim Tebow
0-5 in conference matchups?
Yeah, Rosenberg had a good run. Flacco had a run.
I think Tebow did against that walk-off against the Steelers. I don't know if that was the Steelers.
Didn't Ben Roethlisberger lead him to like 15-1 or like 16 or 14-2 or something his rookie year? Like, it was some crazy run he was on.
RG3 with Washington had a crazy run.
Yeah.
Daniels is already starting to blow those numbers out.
Yeah, I'm hoping this isn't another like RG3. I don't think it is.
No.
I'm a little concerned about the way he protects his body, though. He takes some shots.
He's going to have to learn. He's going to have to learn because he's not built like Josh Allen.
No.
Josh Allen's got smart. Oh, yeah, he's had to.
Daniels would be smart this offseason to link up with someone like Lamar and be like, hey, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you not take these hits?
I give all that credit to Dan Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
What he's been able to do with that team and what he could have done with...
I'm giving the credit. I agree. 100% credit to Dan Quinn. Kingsbury, but I'm giving credit to the ownership group. Dude, like, Magic Johnson's conversation, I mean, they got Adam Peters in there. Magic Johnson's conversation as a part of that ownership group in the tunnel after the game with media was pretty much saying, like, him just saying, you know what, like, the reason that this culture changed was because we got the right people. We got the right people in the right positions at the right time. And they're good people, but they all want the football team to be successful. And it hasn't been seen in Washington. Yeah. They haven't won a playoff game in however long, and now they've won 2 with the potential to win a 3rd.
Since 91, is that what they said?
Yeah. Yes. It's been a long time. They had because Dallas now owns the longest drought for getting to a conference championship game because of Washington.
Fitting.
Yeah. Well, Washington and Philadelphia playing for the NFC Championship, and the Cowboys are hiring Brian Schottenheimer. Welcome to...
I think that's a good cap to end the pot.
Very much so. Very much so.
Brian Schottenheimer to Mars.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun year of football, fun offseason to talk about. But thank you guys for tapping into this one. I want to mention one last thing before I wrap it up. The clip that I posted of me talking about Lamar Jackson on social media, about saying that like he's not scared, he's ready, he's going in, he's beating Josh Allen. Like I posted that on social media, put it on YouTube as like a clip, and the day after they lost, all of a sudden it started blowing up a little bit. I was getting a lot of comments on there like it's not too late to delete this, blah blah blah. Like it went from let me look at it. It went from like 6 views to all of a sudden now it's up to like 250, and people on there are just like, this guy sucks.
Put me up on that.
So there's
don't put me up on the ND stuff.
There's only 2 comments on it, but one of them was like, you can still delete this. 2 people liked that comment.
You're not worth your price, dude. What are we doing?
And then another dude commented, all he said was W. So, but yeah, that was awesome. Funny that the video went from like 6 views to they lost. So then the algorithm on YouTube kicked it out that I was an idiot and people found it. So
hey, if it gets us some subs, who cares?
Well, it unfortunately didn't. It probably lost us subs. But anyway, we appreciate you for tapping into this one. Enjoy football. As we said at the beginning of this episode, there's only 3 football games left. We hope you enjoy them, and we will see you next time for some Super Bowl coverage.